Welcome to Nioh. Quick review of Nioh. Well, I am. Produced by Koei Tecmo, I believe. And Nioh is a, I guess, well, today people would call it a Dark Souls clone type of game. Set in like feudal Japan. Which, yeah, I kind of agree. It is a Dark Souls type game. But it is also different in a lot of ways. But let's go through it basically. The story is pretty good. It's more straightforward than Dark Souls. Oh my god, my analog stick is dying. Wow, my analog stick is really dying. So, the story is pretty straightforward. You play as William, and you basically have this spirit that gets taken from you, and you come to feudal Japan to, you know, try to get the spirit, and you get caught up in the war that's happening here between the clans and everything. How do I switch? Oh yeah. That's a very, very short summary of the story. And things happen, and you know there's a main antagonist and or protagonist, antagonist, whatever. But that's just to take you through the game. The main thing in this game is the combat and the loot and the gear. So. And this is the main mission screen. This is how you come and pick a mission. It's not like Dark Souls where you just start it in the world and you know you can just continue through the world as long as you want, without a loading screen or anything, because you're in one persistent, you know, open world. And this is more like an old school game where you have levels. You know, you pick a level, you play through that level, you're done, you come back out, you know, to the map, the world map. And you pick another mission and you go through it. And you see when you cover over one, you see my rewards on the right side. So it tells you what you'll get, and that's all there is to the mission system. There's also, if you get the DLC and stuff, there's also the Abyss, which I haven't really gone into that much because it's a lot, and that's something else we have to go through with this game. There's a lot of content in this game, especially if you get the DLCs. Actually, also to me, probably the best Dark Souls type game to do New Game Plus. They've done it better than anyone else to me. But moving on. So the Abyss is another mode if you have the DLC. What's the main Deep Shadows? So, as for it being a Dark Souls type game, you know, you pick your mission, you load in, you get, you know, a little bit of lore here in your loading screen. You pick the mission, and then when you start the mission, it's like Dark Souls. You have your, you know, bonfire, which this game is a shrine, as you will see right here. Oh, there's a cutscene. All right. Oh, because I'm in New Game Plus. My dude's already, and you can replay missions and stuff, so my dude's already decked out in gear. So as you see, you know, actual cutscenes, graphics are nice. The game has always played well. You have currency and Amrita, which is like your souls in Dark Souls, at the bottom right. This is a shrine, which is like your bonfire. Then you get your menu, your level up menu, your multiplayer, your... Why can I not? Oh yeah. Yeah, your guardian spirits, which help you in combat. Blessing, which just affects the drops of the level. Multiplayer. DLC. That's another combat thing. That's just junk stuff. And so this is your level up screen, just like Dark Souls. Pretty basic in terms of, like, you know, but it gets a lot more complex than that. You can see on the right there's also I'd say a decent amount more things in Dark Souls that you have to consider depending on, you know, what kind of build you want to go for. Also, because this game has so many new game pluses, you start getting the numbers start to get big, like real big. You can see how much I need for the next level. That's kind of nuts, but that's actually not that hard when you get into like new game plus. I don't know, 6, 5, 6. I can't remember which one I'm on. I'm level 274. Man, I miss this game sometimes. So that's a Dark Souls type thing. And then you play through the level. You pick up stuff. You might get a cutscene at the end. Fight a boss. So that's where it's like Dark Souls. The rest is, oh my god, I don't remember. Oh yeah, it's not. Yeah. So they're really easy because I'm playing on the first level and I'm really leveled up. The great thing about this game is the combat and the loot. So if you hold R1, and I'm pretty sure my controls are default, you can switch stances, low, mid, high, and that affects your attacks. And you also have kind of like a regain system from Bloodborne, where instead of you regain health, you regain stamina. So when I do a combo, you see that blue bar that kind of shows up and disappears after the green starts running out. That's how much you can regain if you hit R1 when it fills up, and that lets you keep being aggressive, keep doing combos, and then you can get into other things where, like, you know, you earn it if you dodge and stuff. So I showed you the Dark Souls type, but here's where it gets crazy. You know, you go into the skills, and you have skills for all the weapon types. So instead of getting a weapon that has a different moveset like Dark Souls, you have this whole skill system that lets you upgrade, you know, the moves you do with each type of weapon. And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 melee type weapons with their own skill tree, and 2 like support, which is like ninjutsu, which is like, you know, your shurikens and stuff, and poison, and doing the log teleport thing, you know, spikes on the ground, shit like that. And then you have magic, which is magic, talismans, magic. You throw magic, you shoot magic at people, you buff yourself and debuff enemies. You know, some things affect drop rates, or I said versus Yokai Realm, and so there's different things. There's build variety in this game. There's a lot of different builds you can go for, depending on the weapon you want. If you want to use these types of support or none or both, the weapons you want. If you want to go for ranged weapons, because you can carry 2 ranged weapons. I have a bow, and oh my god, my ox, and a cannon. So you can spec into that. And so the other part of this game is the gear. Now, gear has a whole bunch of different stats, doing all these different things. I'm not gonna go too much into, like, you know, how deep the stats are, what you can do, what you can't do, how does it compare to all these other, serious looter games? But it's deep. It's real deep. It's real deep. Things you want to spec into, like barehanded attack damage. Like if you want, sure, get a whole bunch of gear that just barehanded attack damage. Close combat, life recovery. Like there's so many things that you can get. And you have gear sets, so like if you wear 2 pieces, you get a bonus. How do I even check that again? Oh yeah. So for the Kingo's armor, 2 pieces gets me damage reduction 2.8%, final blow damage 15%, which is when you deplete someone's stamina and they're kind of staggered or in a stun state or whatever. So you have gear sets in this game that give you different things. It's kind of nuts. You can see I have another one here. Swallowtail armor. So you can really, spec your dude in a lot of different ways. Jeez. Man, I should go back and show you guys the blacksmith too, but that's a whole nother thing as well. But you can take your gear. I don't really have to show you the blacksmith. You can take your gear, you can upgrade your gear, and you can move stats over. So you can see on this piece of armor the increased attack and defense. That little symbol to the left of that says that means I can move that stat over to another piece of gear, or I can move a stat from one piece of gear to that slot. Can't remember how it is exactly. I gotta brush up on how to really make a build in this game. But it's deep. But you don't really have to worry about builds too much until you get into like New Game Plus 3, 4 is when you kind of really need to start at least deciding on what you want to wear. Before that, you can just pick up whatever and use it, and you'll do fine. There's a shit ton of items you can use. Oh yeah, there we go. Like a whole bunch of items you can use that do different things. Combat is just varied. It's cool. And your weapons, you can carry 2 weapons at a time. You have combos, you have different things, different ways to attack. The dodging is cool. Dodging changes depending on which stance you're in. High stance is a slow roll, low stance is a fast dodge. There's just it's a fun game, but it is not a persistent open world like Dark Souls. You get to an end of the level, beat the boss, pick up your loot, end the level, go back to the menu screen, pick another level. That's the loot. Then, getting loot and upgrading your guy and, making him stronger to go through the missions again and getting it. So, I think in Dark Souls, the story and the lore is a bit better. And because it's a persistent open world, I like the world better. Also, the enemy variety in this game, there's a good amount of enemies, and there's a good amount of variety, especially if you have the DLCs. But there's a lot of human type enemies. Like, there's a lot. And maybe that's just a... I wouldn't say that's a problem with just, like, the setting. I love the setting, but there's a lot of human enemies. So it gets a little tiring, but you still have demons and stuff that you fight. The combat is fun. There's a whole revenant system here, like when someone dies, you can fight their, oh, this is an NPC summon. But, you can, fight their build, their character. and maybe get a piece of their gear. You can see there, he has a green helmet, yellow weapon, and blue legs, arms, and feet. So that's cool. That's a nice multiplayer system. They also added in PvP later on, so you can PvP in this game as well. Yeah, see, like I'm like way too strong for this. I'm not picking that up. The game itself has always been fun, but the loop is the gear. I keep pressing start. The loop is the gear. The gear is the main draw of this game. You know, getting your build, making it stronger, and just going through it. This game has so much loot, which, you know, Dark Souls isn't really about the loot. It's about the loot, but it's not like this. This game is much more of a grind. It's much more of a... Also, if you want to get through the entire game, you know, all the new game pluses, it's a heavy investment. Like, this game's gonna take you a lot longer. So if you're into this, if you're into the deep loot system and the whole stat system and leveling up and, you know, really min-maxing your character and stuff, this is a great game for that. In a Dark Souls type setting, I'd say it's probably the best. But it is a bit lackluster in level design, you know, because it's not a persistent open world. Because a lot of the levels kind of get a little samey. You do have your variety, but it's not... It doesn't get as special as Dark Souls in some places, like when you walk into Irithyll or something, or you know, Dark Souls 1 when you walk into Darkroot Basin and you first come up on the Hydra. You don't really get much like that. You get like one or two moments throughout the story, which is, you know, because of the story. But there isn't much more like that. And that kind of lets me down. The boss fights are cool, but none of them really stood out to me too much. Nioh did. And the obvious, you know, big set piece bosses. They were alright. They were all decent. So, and the graphics are good. The sound is great. Oh my god. Yeah, you can block, you can dodge. Everyone has a stamina bar that you can deplete. As I was saying, you don't need a shield to block in this game. You can just block whatever. And that's an execution. And this game has a lot of missions. The DLC adds a decent amount as well. But this game is about the loot. It's about the gear. Whereas Dark Souls is about the story, going through it, and the lore, and not it has its RPG mechanics. It's, you know, you level up your character, you get certain weapons and certain shields and armor. This game gets way more deep than that. Like each piece of gear has so many stats. And then you can go into the abyss and like defile these weapons and armor pieces to get even stronger things, to raise the stats and stuff. Like, there's so much crap. There's just so much crap. So if you're one of these people who really wants a game to last, you know, there's always something to do. This would be it. Like 100% this would be it. I still like Dark Souls and Bloodborne and stuff more. But I've beaten those games like to the core. I have not beaten this game to the core, even though I've played through it quite a bit. And I gotta give this game credit. There's a lot to this game. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things you have to consider. There's even where's the is it titles? Yeah, there's even this. When you upgrade this, you get these prestige points. I completely forgot about this too. Like, man. Jeez. There's so much. There's just so much to this game. So anyways. Well, also, I gotta give a shout out. This is really cool. If you go through the Murder Memories, you have all the lore. You know, of everything. Maybe I shouldn't show this because it might be a bit of a spoiler. But you know, you have all the lore here you can read up on. Where was the... Oh, maybe you can only view it in the... You know what? Let me... Yeah, let me go back to the main mission. Well, once you enter a mission, you can't leave it unless you use the item that makes you lose all your armor and stuff. I guess I should point that out too. So I want to show one thing. I gotta show this off because I always love when games do this, because every game needs to do this, no matter what fucking game it is. So you're gonna show me that? I don't need to go to the shrine. Oh, no, you don't. Oh. Where is it? Where the hell is it? No. In the tea house. It'd be in the tea house. But I guess I should also show this as well. But something other games should do as well. Or there's so much emotes you can get when you're playing multiplayer. You can buy skins. So you can get skins to look like people. And then, you know, transform your dude to look like them. And, you know, play through the game looking like them. Which is cool, which is nice. So, that's always nice. There was a way to view like all the demons. Yeah, I was on Way of the Wise. There was a way to view... Ah, here we go. So if you come here, you can view, you know, all the cutscenes. You can view the, you know, the lore of each character. You can check out all the Guardians, which is really cool. They're actually animated and everything. Like, this game does it really well, where you can just view all the like, you know, just look through everything else in the game. A lot of games don't do this. I love spiders, so like that's really cool to me. A lot of games do not do this, and this game does it really well. And I have to give this a shout out because this game did this amazingly. I love this. I fucking love this. And then you get to see all your demons stuff, and you get to see the lore behind all the demons and everything you fight. I guess I should say this review will have some spoilers with, like, you know, the enemies you fight and stuff. But this is a nice addition. You know, you just want to take a break. You just want to read through, you know, what you've actually been killing, what they are, what they do. Like, this is really cool. The fact that the guitar's arms are actually controlling his hands and playing itself. It's weird. It's weird. And I think you earn more information as you kill them more often and stuff. What's cool? It's nice. This whole thing right here is a great addition to every game and should be put in every game. Like it just should. The fact that I can sit here and my girlfriend can be like, "Hey man, what story this game?" And I can just here watch it. Just watch the whole story up to where you are in the game right now. And here we can just, you know, go through it together. This is cool. This is cool. And I gotta commend this game for this. So I'd say that's Nioh. I'm not gonna go too deep into the loot and how that works and stuff, because there's probably better people you should watch for that. I don't know too much about this shit. I still need to learn a whole bunch about it, because there's a lot. There's a lot. Oh look, I got a smithing text. No, I don't want to. So like, yeah, you can take a weapon and, like, you know, reforge the stats and stuff. You know, just re-roll them if you want. And then upgrade the weapon, and then go to the abyss and defile that weapon, and then, you know, and then multiply that by your second weapon, and then all the gear you have, and oh, another thing this game has, and I gotta give a shout out, whatever you want to call this, refashioning, whatever, you know, make one piece of gear look like, you know, another piece, because you just want to look cool. However, piece of armor. If I want my dude's helmet to you know, have this big thing on the top of his head, you know, I can, even though my helmet looks like this. Or, you know, I want the mask or some shit, or I want the ninja helmet. Yeah, it's just cool. There's nice quality of life things that you know, lets me do what I want with the game. Yeah, there's a lot to get into in this game, man. There's a lot. There's a lot to get into. You know, like, what? What? Like, man, they got some cool shit. Got some cool shit. I got a shout out too, man. A lot of the armor is really cool. It's really cool. Like, what? Man, she looks. I can't can't view it on my guy. But anyways, the game is well done. The game is very well done. So, man, so sum it up, combat's great. It has a very deep combat system, has a lot of mechanics. The stamina regain is cool, the stance changing is cool. You know, you have a couple different weapon classes that you can really customize and change. The level design is all it's all right. It's pretty good. It's decent. Sorry, my chair squeaks a lot. It's pretty decent, but it gets a little samey. And there are shortcuts. You know, you get through an area, you find a shortcut, leads back to the beginning. You're like, okay, cool, I can skip a bunch of shit. It has that, and it's nice. But you can easily get lost because like you just like this area looks the same as, you know, the area you went through 20 minutes ago. Especially if you do side missions and stuff that go through the same area again, or like a little variation of that area. And a lot of it is you're not really on like, you know, a big sprawling area really usually. You know, Dark Souls, you have your moment, like, you know, Dark Souls 3 when you get to the swamp, you know, it's a pretty big area. You know, you never have that in this game, or at least not from what I remember from playing through all the story and the DLC. You don't really get into a big area. There are big areas that are, you know, you look out, you're on a battlefield, but you'll just have pathways in this battlefield that you kind of just navigate around. So it's still restricted to kind of like this hallway type thing. And you sort of get some open areas, but that's usually for just because there's a big enemy there or a hard enemy there. Not for the sake of, you know, the level needs to be, you know, this huge sprawling thing. It's just there for this enemy. Is there weather? I think there's weather in the first area, and there's some rain in some other parts, but that's it. But the graphics are still pretty good. They hold up. I'm playing this on a Pro, so it does have a Pro mode. Where is it? Basic game settings? No. Oh shit! Where was it? Shit, where is it? Oh, maybe I have to go to the start screen. Well, this does have a pro mode where you can choose between frame rate or resolution, I believe. Like a dynamic resolution or a fully upscaled 30 frames. Yeah, here we go. So you have action mode, which gives you high frame rate. Oh, you can see that it just, the graphics just change here when I switch. Maybe it didn't, I'm just blind, I'm just seeing things. Yeah, so I play on the frame mode because I like frame rate, but I think you might be able to get away with variable frame rate in this game. Maybe the last mission, the 100 Eyes, might screw it up a bit, but I play on action mode. I like frame rate over resolution all day, every day. But that's Nioh. I'm not gonna show like, you know, end game missions and stuff. I'm not gonna get too into the combat because that's gonna take, in this game that takes a whole bunch of time. Like that's a whole nother. You can go to other people for that. Let's really delve into the combat and what it's like, and how deep the build variety in this game is. I will just say that it is deep. If you do want to play this game to the end, finish all the new game pluses and stuff, you will have to learn the gear system. You will. Like, I played up to, as you see in Way of the Wise, and I just hit a wall. I just hit a wall where the first enemy is like, I do like 4 combos on the first enemy in the game to kill him. It's nuts, and he wrecks me in 2 shots. I'm like, okay, I can't do that. I have to go and make a build, a proper build, you know, dedicated to my weapon and stuff. But up until then, I just, you know, kind of been using kind of whatever I want, sort of. whatever was highest level. Now I gotta make a build, so I gotta, you know, farm for certain items, get those items, get the right stats on those items, and then level up that gear to go past that, you know, New Game Plus, and you know, on and on and on. And that is the big draw of this game: is the loot, is the gear, is your build. I don't. The Surge kind of did it, where your gear, you know, really had its own stats and stuff. Like Dark Souls, yeah, your armor has its own stats and stuff, but it's not. it doesn't really matter that much. It matters, but not a whole bunch. Like, you can run through the game naked if you're good at rolling. Like, it doesn't really matter. Or you can just be naked and just use a good shield. Like, this game, your gear matters, because a lot of your stats matter, especially in, you know, the late game. Oh, well, not late game, end game, the New Game Plus and stuff. The stats matter. So it's very replayable. The graphics are cool. It has cool lore. It doesn't interest me as much as Dark Souls, though. I don't know why. Maybe it's the way it's presented. Maybe it's because the way the levels are. The story itself just isn't as interesting to me. It's alright. I like William's story. It's cool, and all the people that take part in it, and the whole magic side with the spirits. But it wasn't that interesting to me when I played through Dark Souls, and it has this sprawling story of, like, you know, of a decent amount of characters, and you know, you learn it as you go along. You kind of put it together yourself, and yeah, this game's story just didn't hold me as much as Dark Souls story does, and that's kind of weird to say, because, you know, a lot of people say Dark Souls doesn't have any story, and well, Dark Souls story is in the lore, is in, you know, where you find armor, is in the landscape. But that's Dark Souls. That's a different story. Yeah, but that's Nioh. Graphics are cool, sound is great, level design's okay. It's a decent amount. There's a decent amount of enemies, but a lot of the enemies are kind of samey. Even some of the new enemies, they're from the DLC. So if you don't get the DLC, it will be you're fighting a lot of human enemies, a lot. You do have your demons and stuff, but even the demons start to get a bit samey. We're still a decent amount. Still a good amount. I would say, if you've played the Souls games, Soulsborne games, and you're looking for something else, I would say this would be the next game to get. Would be Nioh. I know there are other games like Lords of the Fallen, Surge, Salt and Sanctuary, which I would say, you know, if you want a 2D Dark Souls, that's a game to get, but that's Surface Story. I'll do that another time. This would be the next game to get. I would say that this is by far the Souls game's biggest competitor, is Nioh. Yeah, I can't really think of any that have really come to really compete against the Souls game. And I love the Souls games, and Nioh is the best one to me. To compete against it, compared to all the rest. I still love all the Souls games, but this is, oh man, this is so close. If this became one persistent open world that you could just walk, you know, you could just go through, and it had the loot, and it wasn't some way you could co-op, you know, with 2 or 3 people. Oh shit. Oh man. Well, we'll see. We'll see what Nioh 2 is like, because that's coming out. But if you're a Souls fan, get this game. If you're not a Souls fan, I would say get this game, because it's not, the combat is a lot faster. it's also, if you know gear and loot, it can also be more forgiving because you can build your character to be more of a tank, to be more into, blocking and just doing a simple hit instead of, going crazy with dodges and combos and shit. If you're into loot, get this game. If you're into story, you can experience the story in this game without, worrying too much about, oh shit, my build sucks, I can't beat this boss. You don't have to worry about that too much. But it is a hard game. It's not an easy game, It is a Souls-like game. It is difficult. You do gotta have good timing. You will die quickly. If you jump pace, you can't steamroll shit unless you're like me, where you've gone through, like 4 new game pluses, and you have a super leveled up guy, and then you go back into the first level, into the first new game, and replay through it. Then yeah, you'll be overpowered, but you gotta get there. Yeah, the boss fights. There's a lot of boss fights, but again, they are kind of samey. There's a decent amount that are, they mix it up, but man, there's a lot, like even bosses get reduced to, mini bosses in an area, so even those bosses kind of lose their luster, which, yeah, it kind of lets me down, but it's still cool. Still a good game. Not a 10 out of 10, you need to experience this game before you fucking die or something. But it's a good game. It's a good Souls-like game. It does loot better than... Shit, man, this game does loot better than fucking most looter games, to be honest. It's kind of sad. At least to me. I'm not an expert though, but to me it does. There's just so much variety, and there's so much variety. You can make it look like how you want. You can change your skins. You can upgrade whatever you want. You can build however you want. The weapons, the magic, the ninjutsu, if you want to be a tank or not. If you want to go into stamina. If you want to just use your living weapon all the time. If you want to use items. I'm sure there's a build where you can use items. I'm sure there's a build where you just hit people with your fist, or just use a bow, or a gun, or there's just so much shit in this game. There's just so much shit. There's so much shit. So I don't like giving games numbers and stuff. Like yeah, I don't like giving games numbers. But if you are a Souls, if you like Souls games, play this game. If you don't like Souls games, if you don't give a shit about them, but you like loot games, you might like this game. If you like action adventure games, you also might like this game. But if you don't like loot, if you don't like how, having to worry about your build and gear and stuff, you might not enjoy this game too much. Because even if, you don't want to worry about the build, you still have a bunch of loot dropping all the time. You still gotta pick it up, you still gotta junk shit or sell it or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, well, what else I can say about Nioh? Looking forward to Nioh 2. See what they do. I say, man, they do some things really well in this game, and they had to be commended for it. And Souls games can learn a thing or two from this game. Like the fact that I can see all the enemies and the lore about them, man, I would love that in Souls. I'd love to be able to just enter a menu where, you just see all the bosses and all the enemies and, their animations and stuff, and they're just chilling. And you can actually get a good look at them. It would be nice. It'd be really nice. Just do it from the main menu and stuff. It'd be really nice. Every game should do that. Every game. Every game. Damn, man. Every game. Shit. Anyways, that's a Nioh.